President Muhammadu Buhari has transmitted to the House of Representatives the Finance Bill 2021 for consideration and passage. The exercise is in accordance with provisions of sections 58 and 59 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. House Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila, while reading the presidential communication, seeks to support the implementation of the 2022 budget of economic growth and sustainability through reforms in taxation, customs and excise, and other fiscal provisions. Meanwhile, the House, in response to a motion from Representative Leke Abejide, passed the resolution to invite the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to brief relevant committees on the cost implication of direct primaries as provided in the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2021, recently submitted by the President for assent. The year 2022 Ogun State Appropriation Bill has passed through second reading on the floor of the State House of Assembly, with lawmakers unanimously requesting for an upward review of funds allotted to education and health sectors, owing to their direct importance to the socio-economic advancement and overall well-being of the people of the state. Correspondent Kolawole Osho, who covered the plenary, reports that the Speaker, Right Honorable Olakunle Oluomo, enjoined the people of the state to further ensure strict compliance to the COVID-19 protocols following the recent discovery of the Omicron variant in the country. Details of his report are presented in this package.
Opening the debate during the second reading of year 2022 Appropriation Bill through a motion moved by the Majority Leader, Honorable Yusuf Sharif, and seconded by Honorable Oludai Elemide, the Chairman House Committee on Finance and Appropriation, Honorable Olakunle Sobokanla, said there was need to set out strategies towards blocking leakages, just as he called for increased priority of infrastructure development and education. In their separate remarks, other members said there was need for a revenue generation agencies to improve on their operational drive and set machineries on motion towards improved revenue generation. They explained that more funds should be injected into all levels of health institutions in the state, with adequate attention given to border and rural communities in terms of infrastructure and development projects, explaining that there was need to improve on the funding of other two arms of government in line with the principle of separation of power. Majority Leader Yusuf Sharif and other members of the House who corroborated the submissions of their colleagues called for more laudable policies that would bring about massive youth empowerment in the implementation phase of the budget. They added that education deserved more as public schools in the state required massive infrastructure upgrade across all categories. These, they noted, needed more than the 16% voted for the sector. The Speaker, Right Honorable Olakunle Oluomo, commended the Governor for the components of the budget, especially in relations to the assurance on the completion of the existing projects, alongside those with revenue potentials and those consistent with priorities articulated in the State Economic Development Strategy, as well as those that could enhance revenue generation.
I want to remind us that it was this House that increased the percentage of education budget in the last year's budget. So I will still appeal to us as well as the House to see what we can do as a House to enhance the budget of education.
Oluomo thereafter committed the bill to the House Committee on Finance and Appropriation for further legislative actions, with a directive to heads of ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, to brace up towards ensuring strict compliance to the budget defense, which would commence on Monday, 13th December to Thursday, 23rd December 2021. Following the recent discovery of the Omicron variant by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, Oluomo tasked the people of the state to further ensure strict compliance to the COVID-19 protocols.
Let's go and get vaccinated. Within a short time, the next meeting, I'm going to make a pronouncement on a particular day that whoever is not vaccinated should not come to our premises. Even if you are not vaccinated, you should not come here.
The Speaker also called on public servants and members of the public to embrace the opportunity offered by the state government to get themselves vaccinated during the ongoing mass vaccination campaign with a view to flattening the curves of the pandemic in the state.
The present administration in Ogun State has identified the strategic role information technology IT plays in driving its agenda for the state. Hence, they laid down policies to explore its potentials, such as the recent launch of Ogun State Digital Economic Infrastructure Project, among others. The Deputy Governor, Engineer Noimo Salako Oyedele, who made this known at the 2021 Annual Committee of E-Business Industry Heads, Committee of E-Banking Industry Heads Retreat, held in Abeokuta, added that its Bureau of Information Technology is committed to the incubation and growth of fintechs through various technology incubation programs and the setting up of 2 additional tech hubs similar to the tech hub already set up in Abeokuta. Giving the Ogun State example, the Deputy Governor said e-business had complemented government efforts in making sure that regardless of where you are, you can make payments for your taxes, fees, levies at pay.ogunstate.gov.ng.
His Excellency President Abeokuta identified the strategic role that IT plays in driving his agenda and has laid down policies to exploit the potential of IT in government. For instance, in May 2019, the Ogun State government collected revenue using just the bank branch channel, which was available Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4. Salary payments, payment to contractors with the use of bank checks.
While stating that she was pleased that the organizers of the annual retreat chose Abeokuta as the preferred location for his annual retreat, Engineer Salako Oyedele admonished industry stakeholders to continue to profile innovations, contributions, and hard work which will elevate e-business in Nigeria and make the industry a worldwide success story. Earlier, the Chairman Committee of E-Business Industry Heads, Sebi Adeyemi Atonda, in his address pointed out that the annual event is to gather stakeholders from different sectors of the electronic and digital payment industry in the country to access the state and performance of industries and chart the course of its progress and growth of the industry, while noting that this year's retreat attempts to focus on some of the salient phenomenon which will drive as well as help to reinvent various industries. Meanwhile, the Ogun State Deputy Governor, Engineer Noimo Salako Oyedele, has led a delegation to inspect the Gateway City Gate at Interchange, Government House Estate, Kobakwe Shagamu, Interchange Road, and King's Court Phase 1, Okemoson in Abeokuta, in company of the Deputy Governor, while the Commissioners for Works and Infrastructure, Engineer Ade Akinsoya, Commissioner for Transportation, Engineer Gbenga Dairo, Commissioner for Housing, Jagumolu Omoniyi, Special Advisors, SSAs, OPIC officials, and some special assistants. In demonstration of a zero tolerance for open defecation, the Ogun State government has arrested 124 offenders for contravening the state's environmental and health laws. The offenders who were arrested in various locations across the state, with 82 of them from Moweiba for access in Obafemi Owode local government area, were subsequently sentenced to various community services. Speaking on the arrest, Special Advisor to the Governor on Environment and Chief Executive Officer of the Ogun State Waste Management Authority, Mr. Ola Oresanya, said the offenders were apprehended as part of efforts at stopping the indecent habit and make the state open defecation free and maintain the environmental safety of the people. Oresanya added that the bad habits, which are mostly done late in the night and at dawn, have negative implications on the immediate communities where they are practiced and at the state at large, especially during this period that the world is ravaged by the pandemic, saying that the state government will not fold its hands and watch few dirty individuals put the health of the majority at risk through their shameful act. while reiterating that arrest of offenders will continue as the state has zero tolerance for open defecation. Oresanya warned drivers of articulated vehicles and their cohorts who transit the state, especially the Mowe-Ibafo axis, to stop defecating on medians and roadsides while on stopovers, urging them to visit public toilets provided by the state government for their conveniences instead of engaging in such ignominious practice. The Ogun State Local Government Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Abeokuta has dismissed all 12 election petitions filed by the New People's Party, NNPP, seeking to declare null and void the chairmanship seat for 11 local government areas in the election held on Saturday, July 24, 2021. The NNPP had dragged the Ogun State Independent Electoral Commission, Ogtv, the All Progressives Congress, APC, and the elected chairman in 11 local government areas, which include Yewa North, Yewa South, Abeokuta, Ewekoro, Ifo, Abeokuta North, Obafemi Owode, Imeko-Afon, Odeda, Ijebu North, as well as the councillor of Ward 14, Imala, in Abeokuta North, as second and third respondents to the tribunal. In their separate notices of preliminary objections filed before the tribunal, Ogtv contended, among other grounds, that the petitions filed were not competent in that they were status barred, having been filed outside the time prescribed by the electoral law of Ogun State 2006. Delivering the judgment in 6 of the petitions, the chairman of the panel B of the tribunal, Otumba Onofadeji, maintained that the petitioner failed to file his petition within 14 days as stipulated in Section 86 of the Electoral Law of Ogun State 2006 as amended. The tribunal held that time was of essence in dealing with election matters, as the spirit of various laws relating to election petition was that as much as possible, petitions should be given expeditious adjudication to enable parties know their position. The House of Representatives on Thursday invited the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, to clear the air on the cost implication of conducting direct primaries by political parties in the country. According to the resolution passed by the House on a motion of urgent public importance, sponsored by the Chairman, House Committee on Customs and Excise, Honorable Leke Abejide, the INEC chairman is to appear before the Joint House Committees on Appropriations and Electoral Matters. In his lead debate, Honorable Abejide, who frowned at the speculation making the rounds that it will cost over 500 billion naira for political parties to conduct direct primaries ahead of the 2023 general elections, noted that the controversy will determine the fate of the Electoral Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2021, which is awaiting President Muhammadu Buhari's assent. He noted that as the umpire supervising both the primaries of political parties and the main elections, Professor Yakubu would be the appropriate INEC official to clear the air on the actual cost implication of conducting direct primaries. Oba Ibitoye Sholaja Kegbo of Atikori Ijebu-Igbo, Majason Oriyonote, has thanked these people and the Ogun State for the support given him to witness another year of his coronation anniversary. He said this at the 20th Thanksgiving service and coronation anniversary held at the Oba Ibitoye Center in Ijebu-Igbo. Bumi Adigun covered the event and he reports.
The grace of celebrating one's existence is not common, as it only comes from God. So it was for Oba Ibitoye Sholaja, Majason Oriyonote Atikori of Ijebu-Igbo in Ogun State, as he celebrates 2 decades on the throne of his forefathers. Many must have expected a big party and a convergence of dignitaries, but the monarch decided to celebrate this with a thanksgiving before God. Christian Association of Nigeria, Atikori Ijebu-Igbo, directed the affairs of the coronation service. It was a moment of supplications as the royal father took to the dance floor, thanking God for another opportunity to live. Friends of the royal father, family members, and people present wished the royal father more years on the throne of his forefathers.
Kabiyesi is humility personified and encourager. No wonder his reign in Atikori has witnessed tremendous progress. I want to congratulate him on this occasion and pray that he will link long on the throne of his forefathers. 2 decades on the throne is not a joke. To God be the glory. And I also pray for more extension in peace.
I wish the Kabiyesi the best in life, good health and prosperity.
We have seen a lot of development during his reign. He's one of the best Obas that I know around here, and I can assure you in another 5-6 years, Atikori will not be as it is now.
Oba Ibitoye Sholaja said he would continue to appreciate the grace of God in his life.
I'm very excited. I thank God for his mercy. I do for 20 years to be there, that we go through all the troubles and yes, we come out fine.
Eminent personalities, friends of the town, and sons and daughters of Atikori Ijebu-Igbo who have distinguished themselves in one way or the other were honored with awards of excellence. Bumi Adigun, Ogtv News.
Still ahead on the news, Governor Abeokuta gives assurance on the appointment of new Principal General. Details and more reports after this break. We're glad to have you back. In demonstration of the commitment of the current administration in Ogun State to the development of higher institutions, a grant of 200 million naira has been approved by Governor Abeokuta for tertiary institutions across the state. Ogun State Governor Prince Dapo Abiodun disclosed this in his lecture at the fourth convocation ceremony and conferment of fellowship awards for the 2019-2020 academic session of Ogun State Institute of Technology, Igbesa, held at the school premises. Matthew Showumi reports that the governor also offered employment to the best graduating student at the occasion. His report.
Having acquired the necessary entrepreneurial skills alongside their certificates with satisfactory character, a total of 2,347 students are graduating with national diploma and higher national diploma certificates across different departments at this fourth convocation ceremony of Ogun State Institute of Technology, Igbesa. Ogun State Governor Prince Dapo Abiodun, represented by the Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Abayomi Arigbabu, revealed that the administration is set to launch an education development trust fund to work with stakeholders in achieving the vision for the sector.
I join our graduates to see your achievements with these academic awards you have acquired as the starting point for achieving greater heights in the nearest future.
Delivering the convocation lecture, President, Association of Professional Women Engineers of Nigeria, Engineer Fumilayo Jelade, encouraged the graduates to look inward and believe in their ability to achieve the best in life. Rector of Ogun State Institute of Technology, Igbesa, Engineer Lufunke Akinko-Olere, highlighting the achievements of the school, which include the award of the best in the management of admission process by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, accreditation for various courses, and development of infrastructure. Thank the Ogun State Governor for his continuous support.
They are the nation's pride, so we expect them to go out and make us proud. We expect them to join the force in rebuilding our nation, Nigeria.
High point of the occasion was the presentation of awards to outstanding students from each department, as Lawal David emerged as the overall best. Olu of Ilaru and paramount ruler of Yewaland, Oba Kehinde Olugbenle, and Olota of Ota, Oba Professor Abdulkabir Obalanlege, were conferred with fellowship awards.
I had my first degree in Dublin, my second degree at Leicester in England, and my PhD at the University of Antwerp. I think I cherish it more than other awards that I've worked for.
Representative of the state governor and others were also presented with awards for their contributions to the development of the school. Earlier, the Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology commissioned technology building and inspected ongoing projects in the school. Matthew Showme, Ogtv News.
The issue of violence among secondary school students across Ogun State is rapidly reaching an intolerable level. Though the state government has taken some measures to check the trend, it cannot be totally said that things have returned to normal. Adebola Oshomoji highlights the happenings in this report, after which we will be joined by the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology in the state to discuss the issue further.
What is the ACF of 12?
Teachers in Ogun State secondary schools are now under fear of possible attack by their student and parent, who are now sometimes hire thugs to beat them up when the children are disciplined for truancy, lateness, disobedience to school authorities, and other acts of indiscipline. Unfortunately, teachers who used to check the excesses of the pupils are now mindful of what might befall them should they punish a student for any unruly behavior. In October alone, no fewer than 4 cases of attacks on schools took place in different schools in the state. The government of Ogun State, in collaboration with the security agencies, has now taken the bull by the horns to nip this ugly incident in the bud. One of the latest steps taken was the directive of 12 secondary schools be closed with immediate effect from Tuesday, November 30, which is 10 days earlier than December 10, scheduled for all schools in the state to embark on their first-term holiday. The affected schools which were tagged hotspots include Egba High School, Ashero High School, Itori Comprehensive High School, Itori, Ofada Community Comprehensive High School, Ofada, and Lafenwa High School, Lafenwa Abeokuta. Others are Egba Owode Grammar School, Owode, Community Comprehensive High School, Ijohun, Unity High School, Eyini Comprehensive High Learned, Iboro, Government Science and Technical College, Idaba, Abeokuta, Lishabi Grammar School, and Methodist High School, Arigbajo. However, the state government has called on parents, guardians, and religious leaders to caution their children or face the full wrath of the law.
We're now joined by the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology in Ogun State, Professor Abayomi Arigbabu, to further discuss the issue of indecent behavior and indiscipline among secondary school students in Ogun State. Honorable Commissioners, I'd like to welcome you to
thank you very much.
Ogtv News. Now, how did we get there, sir? How did these issues begin?
I would like to say that the school is a microcosm of the society. Okay. Whatever is happening in schools today is a reflection of what is happening in our society. And you see, it's actually a global trend. It's not local to Ogun State. It's national and international. And you will have had sorts of cases happening all over the world. Okay. We heard of an incident in the US yesterday. Also, yesterday or 2 days ago, we heard about another incident in a private school in Lagos, private school for that matter, in Lekki, Lagos. We heard of cases in Oyo State. We heard of another case in Lagos State where a teacher was killed, and so on and so forth. So it's not really local. It's not, something that is peculiar to Ogun State. So it's something that, I mean, has been happening on maybe low scale all along, and not, like I said, not only here, happening in the society, and we all have responsibility to ensure that our society, I mean, things are done properly and our kids are actually guided properly.
Okay, now let's what specific steps have government taken, you know, over the time now to make sure that these things are nipped in the bud?
Yes, you know, when we notice this type of trend, there has been some unannounced steps we've taken, and of recent we did layers of stakeholders engagement, starting with our zonal education officers in all the 20 local governments in Ogun State, you know, so that they can actually pass on government directive and then government maybe strategy at curbing this. And then we engaged all the principals, head of schools in Ogun State. We invited the unions, also the ANCOPS, Union of Principals, and Option. We engaged NUT, we engaged ASUS, that's the Union of Teachers, and then we also engage security agencies, you know, the meeting with security agencies, and then there was a joint stakeholders meeting where we invited parents, private school proprietors, ANCOPS, NUT, ASUS, police, and then we also involved the National School Crime Corps. So all of us, we held this meeting. We also involved the Ministry of Justice also to brainstorm on these emerging trends, because some of the things happening now are things that were not happening before, and you cannot tackle new issues with old tricks. So we actually need to actually look at this in a more maybe holistic way.
Now, Honorable Commissioner, assuming there are 1,000 students in a school, these students, these miscreants, you know, these guys, might not be up to 200.
Yes.
Is it that we're losing control, or is it that there are so much, you know, because the moment we give this impression there's so much lawlessness, it's just a few, just pockets of them.
Yes, that's the unfortunate thing, and that's why I said that we should be careful about how we maybe escalate these issues. These are few cases. I mean, how many schools do we have in Ogun State? In how many schools are this happening? We have 1,565 primary schools. We have 511 secondary schools, public. And we have over 5,000 private nursery and primary schools, and 1,500. So you see, it's just like a case of just one egg in a pack of maybe 100 crates. If that one egg is bad, you know, it gives the impression that the entire pack is bad. So, but, you know, we cannot just say because the cases are few, then we will not take action. And that's why we have decided to embark on series of actions to solve this problem.
Are these positive? Are they yielding positive results?
Yeah, they are yielding positive results. You know, when there is a disease, you want to get to the root of the matter of it, you actually take some measures that some people, I mean, you know, definitely it will not be palatable to some people, but we just have to be focused so that we actually get to where we're going. Ogun State is not noted for this type of thing. Our name is always in the news for good reasons. Our students have always won laurels, you know, JETS competition and all others. Remember, the governor just gifted some awards and so on and so forth of recent. So we wouldn't want a situation whereby our name will be in the news for wrong reasons. So we don't want a situation whereby the people will be comparing us with some other states or some other parts where things like that are happening. And that's why His Excellency has actually charged us to do all it will take to ensure that sanity returns to our schools.
Okay, in the report we previewed just before you came on, there were some schools that were blacklisted, about 12 of them actually. Why did government have to take this step?
Yes, it's one of the steps. You know, I told you we have actually started with a series of steps. We have not even finished. We are still on it. We have part of what we did was also to bring what we call a sort of innovation in engagement of parents through what we call the Parents Club. You know, the Parents Club, that's without prejudice to PTA. The Parents Clubs are actually going to be local to schools, and they can look at issues in their schools, and parents can come around. And so all these emerging things can be handled, because we have situations whereby students are fighting students, or maybe some parents going to school to disrupt activities when their wards are actually disciplined. So that's one of it. This one about the school closure, you know, there are schools that we have actually experienced one form of disruption or the other, or maybe some unexpected behavior, and some because of certain information at our disposal. I mean, you know, when there are certain things, it's not everything you can actually discuss in the open. And you'll see that relative peace has returned to our schools. Examinations finished on Monday, and you can see that we have peace in our schools. But even the list is not exhaustive. If we have any information about any school, we can actually still do the same.
But does this happen in private schools? Why is it only in public schools? Do we still have public schools?
Well, like I told you, the school of the news. Well, it's in the news. So if I mention it here, it's not as if I'm saying they mention Doen College or something in Lekki, where some students. I mean, a student was actually killed because of his refusal to join cult. So that shows that it happens in private schools, but we haven't had such cases in Ogun State. And I want to say, even the ones we have in Ogun State, in public schools, they have actually been well managed. And we have assured our teachers that government will not do will not rest until we make sure that the environment where they work is actually very conducive to them. And then for the students, we want them to go to school without fear or favor, and study without any encumbrances.
Now, I'm glad you talked about parents, because some people feel government is not engaging parents enough. You know, that these issues, students actually come from homes, and then the importance, the impact, the need to actually engage parents more is also of essence.
Yes, exactly. And that's why people who have challenged us about what is happening in schools, what are you doing, this and that, and people accusing government, I ask the rhetorical question that schools don't give birth to children. It's the parents that actually have the children. So we need to take care of our children at home. We have to actually take adequate, take responsibility and ensure that we bring them up in the proper way. So if you bring your child up in the proper way, I bring mine up in the proper way, they meet in school, they will behave in a way. The school will help to actually coordinate and actually make sure that these children are brought up properly. So whatever the school is doing, if the home doesn't complement that, it becomes problematic. So when a parent comes to school because the child has been disciplined, then we cannot get the type of results we want. And it's actually also important to use this opportunity to clear the air that we have not said that children or students should not be disciplined in school.
Okay.
Yes, we have only spoken about use of corporal punishment, because that we have to be careful. Students that misbehaves in school will still be punished. Okay. There are a lot of measures, disciplinary measures that teachers can use to deal with discipline cases. And for students that misbehave and they are beyond whatever punishment that they give them, we will not hesitate to actually win the big stick.
Good. Now, finally, sir, are secondary schools in Ogun State still safe?
Yes, they are safe. Our schools are safe. And even His Excellency approved for us to employ also security men in all our schools as part of measures to secure schools further. And apart from that, like I told you, with the Parents Club that is coming on board, with the engagement of security agencies that we have spoken about, and some other measures that we are putting in place. And some of these things we did also in terms of closure of certain schools before this session is also to tell people that we are actually on top of the situation and will not condone any form of indiscipline in school.
I want to thank you very much, sir, for coming on the set of Ogtv News.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I've been speaking with the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology in the state, Professor Abayomi Arigbabu, on the issue of indecent behaviors and indiscipline among students. To other news, the current administration in Ogun State has assured of its commitment to appointing new principals general across the state, which will help to ensure efficient supervision of teachers by the State Teaching Service Commission. This was made known by the Ogun State Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, at the retirement and pulling out ceremony from the State Teaching Service Commission of the Principal General of Yewa Awori Division, Mrs. Afolake Ibirunke Lokulo Shodipe. Margaret Ukunlola reports.
This is the pulling out ceremony from the State Teaching Service Commission of the Principal General, Yewa Awori Division, Mrs. Afolake Ibirunke Lokulo Shodipe, after attaining the statutory age of retirement. The State Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, who was represented by his Special Advisor on Primary and Secondary Education, Mrs. Ronke Shoyombo, encouraged civil servants to emulate her diligence and dedication to work.
At all times, put your best, because this particular government is giving the best opportunity to all our teachers, and that's something that we're going to continue with. Everybody should be expecting new PGs for all the divisions again.
Chairman of the State Teaching Service Commission, Evangelist Olalekon Ifede, in the same vein, described her as a woman of substance.
The woman has distinguished herself. She performed brilliantly well when she was still in service.
Members and representatives of the All Nigeria Confederation of Principals of Secondary Schools, Ogun State Chapter, ANCOPS, Nigeria Union of Teachers, NUT, State Teaching Service Commission, TESCOM, Friend Factors of Nigeria, retirees, family members and well-wishers all lauded the celebrant, wishing her the best of years ahead.
With the restoration of the office of Principal General by His Excellency the Governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun NFR, her vibrancy and forthrightness was fully revealed.
He has been a very good stabilizing factor in our life.
I look up to her, I've been learning a lot from her.
To the last retiring Principal General in the State Teaching Service Commission, Yewa Awori Division, Mrs. Afolake Ibirunke Lokulo Shodipe, it has been God's faithfulness so far.
It was not too easy, but we thank God that we're able to surmount every problem that we came across. Whatever you believe in, you should do it well. Make sure you live as an example to people for them to see.
Highlights of the event were cultural displays and presentation of awards and gifts to the celebrants. Margaret Ukunlola, Ogtv News.
The World Health Organization, WHO, says cases of new Omicron variant have been reported in at least 23 countries in 5 of the 6 WHO regions. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus disclosed this in Geneva and said that the number of cases was expected to grow. Preliminary evidence suggests Omicron may have potential immune escape or possibly higher transmissibility when compared to various variants of concern, according to WHO's latest weekly epidemiological update on COVID-19, also released on Wednesday. He said experts were learning more about the variant, but there's still more to learn about its effects on transmission, severity of disease, and the effectiveness of tests, therapeutics, and vaccines. WHO chief urged countries to take rational, proportional risk reduction methods, including those aimed at delaying or reducing spread, such as screening passengers or implementing quarantines for international travelers. You're watching Ogtv News. Up next is the business segment after this time out.
Welcome to business segment of the news. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has said the profit-taking activities of foreign and domestic institutional investors in the Nigerian stock market have created an excessive risk premium requiring government intervention. Osinbajo said this at the inaugural Capital Markets Conference hosted by the Nigerian Exchange Limited in Abuja and virtually. He said the NGX All-Share Index was the highest performing index among 98 global exchanges tracked by Bloomberg in 2020. He said this led to a match year-to-date performance of about 7.5%. Osinbajo added that government policy and action were important and could not be overemphasized. The Senate has directed the Asset Management Corporation Nigeria, AMCON, to